many minutes we got? No. When do we start the show?
All right. I think that's it. Welcome to the after party. What?
Hey.
Sabrina Salas-Mazzanani, of course, the KUAM News team. Dr. Ron McNinch from UOG, from the Rodriguez Cruz campaign. Ashley Rodriguez, young Republican. Lloyd Cubacub. Is it Cubacub or Cubacub?
Cubacub's fine.
Cubacub.
Get it right.
I'm Chris Barnett. So let's just get right into it. Wow. What a slate of candidates we had tonight. One Democrat, two Republicans.
One incumbent.
Right off the bat, let's get right to it. I really felt like the incumbent, Senator Louise Muñoz, I felt like she should have owned it tonight, and I didn't feel that she did, though. And in fact, I felt in some ways, and I know Louise, and I felt like she's kind of lost a step being down in the legislature. I don't know if it's the water, maybe it's something in the water, but I wasn't too impressed with her showing tonight.
I was surprised that when they asked about the political status, which one did she support, and she said
Status quo,
which wasn't even an option. So
yeah,
I was kind of surprised about that.
I mean, this is an issue that everybody talks about. It's become one of the hot button issues of the year, and I think people should know by now, as much as a lot of people want things to stay the way they are, that's not an option when it comes to self-determination. Mm-hmm. And I was surprised that she said that maybe it was pandering. Ron?
Well, a couple of things. Of the three tonight, Louise is an incumbent, and there's, 7 incumbents that are remaining?
There are 7 incumbents.
And they're set, unless they really do something to screw things up.
Right.
I mean, there's all kinds of good ideas about how powerful incumbents are.
Right.
Of course, that myth's been dispelled a few times, but this time there are so few incumbents running, they're really, really well positioned, and so they might be a little bit cautious about screwing it up.
Yeah. So Louise, if you don't want to screw it up, don't grab anyone's gun down in Tumont.
Ouch.
Right. So I know what you're saying. I felt like coming in here, actually, Senator Louise Muñoz should have been the favorite. I felt like she should have ran circles around the other two candidates.
Yeah, she's always a pleasant lady, and she absolutely showed that tonight. But like Dr. McNinch said, maybe she's trying to play it safe because the incumbents have a lot to lose.
Good point.
So a lot of people could bring them out. We saw that in the last election too.
I think with some of the questions, she answered it straight to the point, and she touched on her platform, which is healthcare. It's always been healthcare.
Right.
And when I see Louise, I always see a kind lady, and she's always kind, and I guess that's just exuded in.
I guess we know who the Republican is. No, and I felt like she should have set the example. And I know when people vote for Louise, she's kind of like the Republican Tina Muñoz Barnes. If you think about it, right? She's just that nice lady. But, Ron, this is something we talked about when we were watching the show. Those people out there who know Louise know that she's actually a fun person. And she didn't
really nice.
Seem like she was having any fun up here.
Well, we talked about this kind of, and the public should know this. We talk about stuff before we come on here, and so we kind of get some ideas from each other. And it's true. Louise really... She's a great singer. A lot of people don't know that, and she's very, very personable. And to me, that makes for a great political mix. It makes her a great politician. And sometimes what happens is people want to be too serious, and so the question is, and this is the big question for elections: do we vote for people because of their pointy-headed, pencil-pusher ideas they have, or do we vote for people because of the way we feel for them? Do we
maybe a mix of both?
Or maybe a mix of both, but we gotta have feeling. You gotta feel something for the candidates quite often. So,
and I think a lot of people, in regards to Louise, feel that she's that nice person.
Yeah, definitely.
They could, the word eludes me, but they could feel with her.
Yeah, and the thing about Louise, and I feel like maybe several legislatures ago, you could get away with being. The nice lady, but with the results from last election, I feel like the people really changed a lot of things in the results, and so this term, I feel like it's a do or die term for a lot of the senators. Like, I mean, it was almost a reset last election, and we don't know what the voters are thinking going into this election. So, you know, I really think Senator Luis Muñoz's idea about, you know, letting people grow medicinal weed at their houses, that was something that you really want to kind of introduce at the end of a term, because it's a big, you know, it's a big push. That's you know, it's a ballsy idea. But unfortunately, it got overshadowed by the budget crisis and all the other stuff that's going on. So, you know, actually, I wanted to talk with you, you know, Selb, about the lone Democrat on the couch. And I saw through the interview that Luis kind of kept saying, "Yeah, what Sel said." And you know, he was the oldest guy on there, and he did seem like he was the most intelligent of the three.
Educated.
Yeah. It might just be that they share the same conservative values. He seems like, although he's a Democrat, he seemed very conservative in a lot of his ideas. But I do appreciate that he seems very experienced, and he seems like he has goals. He knows what he wants to do for Guam, and he's not just talking this bubble that, like, you know, a lot of nice things, but he has some substance to what he says.
What do you think?
I like him. I don't know who he is.
Right.
But before tonight, and I took a lot of notes of what he had said, and you know, educated man, experienced veteran, a lot of things that resonate with me, and I like him.
Yeah, and you know, I don't think we've ever had him about a senator before. So the first time could be the charm. And he's on the charter school board.
And he also first elected Board of Education.
Right, and so...
And for the record, right, Jason, he didn't go to the University of Colorado.
No, he said he's been to Colorado many, many times.
Right. Yeah, Rocky Mountain High. Yeah. Talking about high, Ryan Calvo, you know, on this end of the couch, took a long time to warm up. And Ron, we were talking before the show, it reminded me of the Batman movie, Why So Serious? Right. I mean, Ryan Calvo was just like, I don't know if he was nervous. He was a lot like a deer in the headlights.
But let's be fair, okay?
Yeah.
Bree, you've been on the air forever since, and Chris, you've been on the air forever since. A lot of folks, when they come in this couch area, it's like the Twilight Zone to them. They don't know what to expect, and they have all kinds of self-impressions. I've gotten to the point where I just don't care, you know, for things, you know, how I look or whatever. But they're worried about it, and they're under a lot of pressure because they simply don't have the media experience to know. And Louise, on the other hand, lots of media experience, very poised, very relaxed. And on the thing about Sel, I think that also she kind of respected his seniority a little bit too.
Right.
There's a bit of a not Manamka is the wrong word, but he's more of a senior gentleman who had very senior ideas in terms of mature ideas on things that were very rationally based. And so it might have been that difference too. But the question is, does the lens of the camera show us who these people really are? And that's what the voters need to think of, is does it show us a true reflection of who they are on the inside?
Do you think that the candidates that were here tonight showed that reflection?
No, not at all.
No. I think like
I don't think any of them
Uggen,
this year
when
have.
she was on Monday, you know, she felt, you know, I felt comfortable with her. I felt like, you know, she goes through the same problems that I do, and she's relatable. I
didn't feel that way about, well, other than, you know, Senator Muñoz, who, you know, we know because she's a senator and she does a lot of things publicly, you know, singing with the band. She's at all the weddings, right? Yeah. Not so many funerals, but probably better to go to weddings, I think.
Yeah.
Here's a neat question, and maybe the public can think about this. Maybe we ask candidates this. Should candidates be more like President Trump and just say what they think, take it or leave it, or should they condition and couch what they think and feel and be very, very, very careful and try to make everybody happy?
You know what? It worked for President Trump. I mean, you know, say what you will about the guy, he's still saying exactly what he thinks. And I mean, yeah, he might double back and lie about what he said, but it works and it is what it is. And I think that the three candidates on the couch tonight, it was a mixture of they were boring. They didn't really put out any ideas that I felt were, you know, real positions, and no humor whatsoever. And I mean,
it could have been Jason, though. That could have been the problem. You know,
trying to shine next to Jason, you know, good luck with that.
It's always my fault.
So who do you think performed the best tonight?
substance-wise, I would go with Sal Babauta. Yeah, this is my first time seeing him publicly, and I think that he did a good job considering he's not a politician. And yeah, I just think that he was probably one of the winners.
What did you think?
I ranked them. Louise number 1, Sal number 2, number 3 Ryan Calvo.
Okay.
Yeah. Why?
Why?
I agree with some of her answers. You know, she's pro-life. I'm Christian, and then I identify with that. And her answers regarding the tax raises, some of the things that I identify with.
Let's talk with the issues. Homelessness. Some pretty interesting responses to the question of what would you do to help Guam's homeless population. Ashley, I know that with the Rodriguez Cruz campaign, you guys have some pretty interesting ideas. One of the ones that everyone talks about is turning Government House into a rehab homeless center. So that's pretty outside the box. I mean, some might say too far outside the box, but what did you think of the responses tonight? And who? Well, Sel's response was build a homeless shelter.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Sel's was a lot closer to what we put out in our platform. But like going back to what you said about everyone kind of playing it safe, I think that this campaign season, there are politicians who are going outside of the safe things that people want to hear. So sometimes it just takes that radical decision to. This is me defending the government.
No,
house.
and hey,
but no, I do think that we have a lot of homeless here. We have a big problem, drug related too, and rehabilitation is an option that I think that will really help our people rather than kind of just put them off to the side.
No, and people are talking about it, and that's exactly what Dr. McNinch said. Throw something out there, throw it hard, and it'll stick. I mean, we get safe answers. No one remembers that, but people remember that. An idea like you guys have in the campaign, and it sticks. Sal Babauta. I mean, what do you want to do to the homeless? Oh, build a homeless shelter. That's so basic. I mean, that's what everybody says.
You know what I'm looking for, though, Chris and Bree? I'm looking for a candidate that's going to reflect how I feel. And what do I think about homelessness? I think we need to identify homeless people. If they have people in the U.S. mainland who care about them and they're here because somebody sent them here, let's help them go back home. Or if they're from some other place, let's help them go back home. And if there are homeless people that are homeless because of substance abuse and they're actually from here, let's maybe try to work on reuniting them with their family and their support structure, and try to help them out that way.
Yeah.
But I think that trying to throw money at the homeless problem on an island, because what happens is people come here and they become homeless and they stay homeless when really they have a support structure that could nurture and care for them elsewhere. Maybe our shift should be, maybe we should, if there are people like that, help them to go back home. That nobody says that, though. They all want to take the safe, well, we got to build this and build that for them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think Guam, I mean, I'm going to take some flack for saying this, but Guam is a pretty good place to be homeless. You know what I mean? With our island and how generous we are. I mean, I've interviewed a ton of homeless people, and a lot of them are making a good living at being homeless. And Ryan, what did Ryan say, Lloyd?
Oh man.
He said, I think he wasn't enunciating as I couldn't really hear him, but he said something about employing the homeless, giving them bags and having them kind of guard some.
Make them work.
Make them work.
Right.
Employ them.
He said find the areas that they're at and give them a tent and have them kind of like guard those areas.
Yeah.
I thought Louise had a good response, though.
Homeless Coalition.
Yeah, working with them, and because some homeless people, they don't want help. You know, they want to live how they're living, and plus with the regulations, but they would have to meet. They'd rather not even deal with that.
Right, and I think
so, like Ron was saying, the substance abuse problem, or maybe it was actually the substance abuse problems. Right. So I thought she had a good answer.
I mean, it's drugs, it's mental health, right? I mean, and homelessness. These three issues on Guam, they're almost one and the same, because most of the people that you see who are homeless are either on drugs, struggling with drug addiction, or suffering from mental illness.
I think Ryan had the best solution then to help them see that you kind of need to work to get out of where you are, and like you said, some of them don't want to get get out of where they are, but I think that it's a need, you know, we shouldn't have homelessness here. So we should really find ways to help them get out of this.
Right. What about the fishing preserves? This is pretty interesting. I forget what Louise said. I think she said something like she doesn't like to eat fish. I don't know.
No, I think that's what Paul said.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right.
I talked too loud back there in the green
Yeah,
room,
yeah.
right?
Bring, Sal said bring stakeholders together, and Luis was like, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
She's not familiar with the issue.
I think Mr. Babata had said something about more research and
Yeah.
Regarding the fish reserves needs to be done in order to properly answer that question, which is, you know,
It was
research
it was
is really
rotating the fish preserves.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
the
there you
question.
go. That was a question, yeah. Which I think that's a good idea.
I do too.
None of them stated what I wanted to hear, though. If we look at what happened before we had the fish preserves, and look at now that we have fish preserves, our entire fish stock have rebounded. It's been a great success.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about the success of the fish preserve program. And nobody talks about how much nicer it is with them. And of course, there's always tensions with stakeholder groups and things like that. But ultimately, because now we control it a little bit more, people no longer bring out gallons of bleach. I don't know if any of you all have ever seen this. Tourists bringing gallons of bleach out onto the reef area and pouring into the water and then grabbing the fish as they come out. That used to be a big problem down on Tumon Bay. We don't have those issues anymore, not to the extent that we used to. So there's a lot of success in fish preserves, but we need to help our candidates to, one, understand the problems, and two, understand why they're significant. Because the fish around our reefs are very, very important to our tourism. It's a kind of macro issue in that regard.
Yeah, and I think the focus, like you said, the fish preserves have been a huge success, but maybe we need to focus on the environment, because if you don't have a strong environment, obviously it doesn't matter how many fish you have. And that was that something that got brought up?
Yeah, one of Ryan's, he had said that he's year one, which is youth, environment, agriculture, and reform 1. So I guess that's
nice.
Good for him.
That would be long.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's an issue you don't really hear a lot about on in campaigns. I don't think we've asked that question before of the candidates, and
No.
I appreciate Senator Munia's honesty. She was like, what he said. I don't know yet.
So what, I guess, was your major takeaway from each of the candidates?
Ryan, I saw him on Facebook. He had like a mock-up where he was going to be running with Will Castro. I don't know if you guys saw that. But he did a wave with Will Castro, and he kind of did like this, like, hey, we're going to run for Adelup.
Right, was it Write Us
Was it
In?
Write us in,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
And so when I saw that, I thought the guy had, a lot of personality. I mean, obviously Senator Will Castro has a lot of personality, but, maybe Ryan is one of those guys who, like Ron said, is shy in front of the camera. But I think the takeaway from him was he's got to articulate his ideas better, like, Lloyd said. Sel, I feel like he's intelligent, but there wasn't a spark. Just presentation-wise, right? I mean, he was saying some good things, but he didn't really seem passionate about them, or
I don't know. I thought he was passionate. He just was nervous.
maybe he was
It might
nervous.
be his military, they're not so,
Yeah.
his military experience are not so impressionable.
Right.
Yeah.
Conviction, maybe. I didn't really see that, but in his defense, I mean, he was the guy on the couch that everyone was turning to and agreeing with. So maybe he's the kind of guy who can bring people together.
When I get nervous, I get honest, Like, you have nothing else to do. You can't really think of a lie or something really quick. So
Right.
I think he was genuine in his answers. I didn't, like I said, I never heard of him before, and I'm pretty sold on the guy. I like him.
I mean, hey, he, I think, pencil pusher, what'd you say? He was the guy who won that.
But you know what? I think all three of the candidates tonight could get elected in this particular race because it's just that dynamic. You know what I liked about Ryan? I like the Superman thing that he pulled right at the half thing. I love that. Loved it. I don't know how people caught that, but you got to go back and watch it.
And he started smiling.
He started smiling a little bit
Yeah.
more. Louise, I got to tell you, I like Louise so much. She's going to get reelected, and I'm going to make a side bet with Bree and Chris.
Here
If
we
all
go.
7 of them don't get reelected, I'll take you all out to eat at my favorite place to eat. And so, sorry y'all too, but I'm conservative.
This is an us thing.
Yeah, that's a us thing.
All right.
And I think all 7 incumbents can get reelected. But then Sel had Sell has a niche, a demographic niche, and if he plays on it more and he pushes it more, he'll have a great angle to play on. Because the problem with the Democrats have been decimated in this particular election, this particular race. You know, lots of good people are leaving for a while or whatever, and it's really hurt them a lot. And even the speaker has decided he wants to do other things. That's how boring a lot of the legislators are with the legislature. That's the problem. I think that building is a curse. If you go and you look at it, I'm sorry, it's taken the fun out of the legislature. You used to be able to walk up to the legislature, talk to anybody you want. You can't do that anymore. It's like a flippin', you know, Puzzle Palace voodoo treatment every time you go over there.
It's almost like Fort Knox.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're hiding everyone away. I mean, I know what you mean. The old building, you walk in, it's like boom, boom, boom. Everyone's right there.
It's open. Yeah.
Ashley, what'd you think?
They're, you know, all of them have their own ideas, and like you're right, a lot of them did end up deferring to Sal, and maybe that's just the kind of guy he's going to be in the legislature. He might be a leader. There's a lot of room for that now, since there are going to be a lot of open spaces, and I think Ryan, he might just be a new, and maybe camera's not his best friend yet. I don't know, but I do think that we still have time to see a lot from him.
Yeah.
And Senator Munya, of course, yeah, she's always pleasant, and I think that she has a good chance of getting back into.
I think what these candidates need to do is get themselves out there more. And it's probably harder for Sel being the lone Democrat. I mean, the Republicans, they got it easy. There's one team, you know what I mean? You just piggyback on the Bota Vance, you go out there, and it's like bada boom, bada bing, right? Mm-hmm. And is that what Ryan and Louise are doing?
I'm not too sure.
No, so I haven't seen Ryan out that much.
Yeah,
I've seen him in some
Ryan
of the pictures.
Yeah.
I've seen him in some of the pictures on the Bota social media.
He has a good name to help him out with that.
Yeah, right. But with Sel, I mean, the guy's a Democrat. We've got, you know, every Democrat and their brother running for governor. How does a guy like Sel, who obviously, if he's the kind of guy who can bring people together, it's incumbent on him to get out there. How does he do that, and how does he take advantage of working these gubernatorial teams without pissing them off? Because, you know, you go to one team's thing, and a lot of times what I'm hearing is like, oh, you can't go to the other ones, or if you go to that one, then the other teams get mad. So how does he negotiate that?
Well, we don't have that issue in our camp, but no, the Democratic Party in itself, they do a good job at, you know, giving the message to all the candidates and letting them know each gubernatorial team is having this event and you can go. And there might be some candidates, some senatorial candidates that feel like they can't go to one team because their Godzu is gonna get mad or something like that. But I think Sal, he's kind of one of the newer ones. I haven't seen him in any of the camps yet, but I do think that he has a good potential. You know, we welcome him to our team, and I know that a lot of all the other Democrats would welcome him because he has some really good ideas.
Yeah, it's got to be tough for the Democrats to, especially with, you know, some of the teams being like, we know Uncle Carl can be vindictive, so you know what I mean.
I mean, there are so many gubernatorial candidates in the Democratic Party, but I think that it kind of just gives the party people more options. I don't see too much of I'm just sticking to one right now with the candidates.
Which is, I think that they should be working all of them, because the thing about the Democratic teams is they've all got their different groups of supporters.
Yeah, it actually gives them a lot more people, because some camps might bring in some Republicans, and some might bring in the ones that you'd never see in another, so they should go to everyone.
But what I do hear is with the Democratic teams, and again the Republicans, you guys don't have this problem, is a lot of pressuring from these gubernatorial teams to say, hey, come to ours, hey, give us the endorsement. And maybe some of these candidates don't show up because, you know, they don't want to endorse Lou and Josh, or, you know, they don't want to have to endorse, you know, Gutierrez Berdallo, because, you know, then that kind of cuts them out of being able to piggyback on the other teams.
Well, then I would say that would hurt them, you know, because as a public servant, you should be able to work with everyone. So I wouldn't fall into those kinds of traps just to save face, you know. So you kind of just have to go everywhere.
Plus, you got to see who's got the best food, right?
I want to see who has the best beer.
Republicans, they got the best beer.
Yeah.
All right, let's get your final comments. Could be about what you saw tonight, or just an election in general. Huh?
I think very, very possible we could have a female majority legislature, and the Democrats, it looks like they need 4, and the Republicans need 5 to get the majority, and so it's going to be a pretty interesting race. And the Democrats have a good positioning, and we'll see where it goes. But I also believe that the primary is the low-level election, and it's mainly just a little bit of rumbling. The big thing that I'm concerned about, not concerned about, that's the wrong word. The big thing I'm anticipating is how many people from the Republican side are going to jump over and play around with the Democrat primary and create like a Twilight Zone scenario. So then we have no idea who's going to get elected on the Republican side on the senatorial part, but then we're going to end up with a very, very interesting group of Democrats on the other side.
Lloyd, is that the plan with the Republicans? Cross over and just mess stuff up?
I'd like to talk about what I thought about the guy today.
He doesn't want to go there.
And we thought the candidates were evading answers, right? Yeah, the parties are where it's at. That's where they learn from.
What'd you think, Lloyd?
I like the 3 candidates today. I think, they some of them need to just be out there more, like we all talked about. With Ryan, I think towards the end, he was opening up a bit. If probably the segment ran a little longer, we probably would have better answers. He'd be more lively, and we'd get more juice into it. With Sel, the 3 things that I liked was education, veteran, and experience. I know when we look to hire people at where I work at, we always look at experience and education. And if you work for the military, it's always a plus.
Right.
And I think that goes for every establishment.
And maybe that's something Sil should be campaigning on, you know what I mean? Like you said, you didn't know, and hey, it's that simple, experience, a veteran, education, right?
And, he looked a little nervous, but then, like I said, when I get nervous, I get honest. And what I saw was him being honest, and I liked it, I want to hear more. With Louise, it's always, she's a genuine person. She's a nice lady, single mom, hardworking, working mom. Healthcare is her platform. Cancer is always affecting our Guam, our community, and I'd like to see, she's in there now, and she's done a good job, I think, and I'd like to see more.
Ashley?
I think that you're right, Louise. She's always pleasant. She's always advocating for that female woman power. She's a strong woman, single mom, and I don't think people are done with her. I think that even though maybe tonight wasn't something everyone expected it to be from her, she still has a lot to give to Guam. Ryan, I'm excited to see more from him, and I hope that we do. We have like 37 days left, so he has that much time to convince people to give them one of their votes. And Sel, again, I think maybe he just needs to get his message out a little bit more, but he's definitely a promising candidate, a promising winner.
Yeah.
Ron?
I gotta say one other little thing. Out there, if you want to really make a difference in our community, whoever is not registered to vote, get them to register to vote. Get them to vote, because if you don't vote, you don't count. And that's the reality. We need to tell every young person, even every person who's not registered, who can register, go and register to vote. It's not very hard to do. And then vote on election day. And make this a great election where everybody's voting, because the more people that vote means the more people that care. And so the best thing we can do is get people to vote. And I don't care who they vote for. I think that the key is that they vote and they take a participation in the process, because one of the great advantages we have in our community, in our society, is to be able to vote.
Well, I just want to remind people, when they do vote, like in the August primary, you can only vote Democrat or Republican. You cannot cross over. It's one or the other.
Right.
So you can vote for all 3 of them. Just choose one.
Actually, I got to agree with you. I mean, I said I was disappointed with Senator Munia's performance, but you're right. I feel like she fills a certain niche in the legislature. I mean, a lot of times the legislature, it's almost like a boy band. You got your singer senator, you got your doctor senator, you got your lawyer senator, so you're right. I don't think that the people are done with her. She's definitely got the name recognition, but I think that if she does get reelected, she's really got to push more. You know, I think that you're right. Single mom. I mean, I was raised by a single mom. You know, working mother. She's against cancer. I think Senator Munya really just cast the widest net possible, which, hey, I mean, it works. But if she does get another term, I think that she's got to work harder. You know, we didn't really hear much about her this term. She was kind of a consistent, you know, Republican vote, which, you know, I understand she's on the party lines, but I feel like she has good ideas. Maybe her staff needs to push her more. So I agree. He's got to get out there and he's got to put his ideas out there because there's a lot of things going on with education. You know what I mean? If he's an education guy, there's always issues with veterans, and maybe he needs to start, you know, campaigning on that. Yeah. Ryan.
I thought he was too serious. I think he needed to show a little bit more personality. More practice. You know, towards the end, you know, he tried to, but yeah, I thought he was just too serious, too nervous. Sal, I really like Sal. Yeah,
well, I think he's Superman. That's what I think.
Take off your glasses, Ryan.
And Louise is Louise, just a really nice person.
Yeah.
But for next week, on Monday's D18 tonight, the candidates that we have are Harold Cruz, incumbent Talina Nelson, and Maria Milligan, right? Or they call it Malou. Malou
Milligan?
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's her
name.
Maylou.
She's a Democrat, right?
Yeah, she's a Democrat.
Relative of a former senator, right? Gordon.
Is she? Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
She is. Thanks, Jay. I'm interested. You know, I want to hear more from Senator Talina. You know, Harold Cruz. I'm excited about his candidacy because I've known Harold, you know, going back to the Angel Santos days, and I want to see how much of that is still in him. You know what I'm saying?
Were you surprised he was running Republican?
You know, I think he just followed. He works for Will Castro. I think he just followed Senator Castro's lead. I think Angel would be surprised he's running Republican. And I don't know anything about Malou, so it's going to be a good show. I know we have Ken Goffigan Cooper.
Yeah, he'll be one of the analysts. Andre Bainham will be an analyst, and Adrian Diaz. So it's going to be both are going to be really good shows. So
there you go.
Make sure to tune in and log in.
Hey, on behalf of Dr. Ron, Ashley, Lloyd, Serena Salas-Matanani, this has been the D18 KU Wave News After Party. My name's Chris. Thanks for watching. Hasta adios.
I knew you were.
I wanted to wear it the whole time.